Ghislaine Maxwell granted limited immunity for answering questions for 9 hours, giving the Justice Department information about 100 people that are linked to Epstein. Now, Trump said he hasn't thought about pardoning Maxwell. Dwane, can she get a clemency grant in exchange for this new information? Do you think that's on the horizon?
Well, I don't know for sure if it's on the horizon or not, but she's taking steps towards that. Now, if she gets this, what's called a proffer letter, or we call it sometimes free talks, where she gets immunity for what she says. She can't be prosecuted for what she says. And the government will evaluate what she says. And if the information is useful enough for them to make other arrests and bring other people to justice, then they will give her some sort of reward, and they get to decide what that is.
Yeah, makes sense. I do want to shift gears here now. Cherie, we know Tulsi Gabbard released documents that allege Obama concocted that Russia collusion claims last week. Do you think we can expect this in criminal investigation into former President Obama? Is that what we're facing now?
In my humble opinion, I think there were some treasonous acts that were committed here. And it's for the courts to decide if they want to bring charges against him as they lodged on President Donald J. Trump. But we see what happened at the Supreme Court, where presidents were granted full blanket immunity in some cases. But some of these acts that, were committed that DNI Tulsi Gabbard unveiled are pretty damning, to say the least. And so I'm looking forward to see what materializes as the investigation goes on. We know Comey, Clapper, and Brennan are culpable as well. And so we'll see, as they continue to peel back the layers, what materializes.
Yeah, Flip, I want to get you in on this. I mean, what do you think here? Do you think that President, Obama is going to be investigated, as President Trump has called for?
I think his administration will be investigated, and so I tend to be of the same mindset where that criminal jeopardy here is probably unlikely, especially in light of the clarifications on presidential immunity for official acts. But there doesn't need to necessarily be criminal jeopardy here for this to be pretty politically significant. There's political jeopardy and continued fallout for the former organs of the Obama administration and that whole political apparatus. So I think that even if we took off the table the possibility of criminal jeopardy for the former president, that does not lessen the potentially explosive fallout of this investigation.
Yeah. Now, so Chris, I want to bring that question to you. Now, you're a constitutional attorney. Walk us through what that looks like. There was a time when we really didn't focus on former presidents. We kind of let them ride off into the sunsets. But of course, the Democrats, they changed that pretty quickly. What are we looking at with President Obama and an investigation, in your opinion? Does it seem to be enough evidence based on what Tulsi Gabbard has said that there will be an investigation?
Well, I mean, there's certainly enough evidence for an investigation of his administration. I got to say, I agree with Flip that, remember, the claims and charges brought against President Trump when he was former President Trump forced him to go to court and establish presidential immunity for official acts. I do think that to the extent that what President Obama, and I'm talking about him personally now, did was in his capacity as president, put his finger on the scale for this intelligence community assessment about Russia that led to Russiagate. If that's what the investigation is about, President Obama is likely to be immune for those activities, even if they are treasonous.
Dwane, let's get you in here on Russia. What are your thoughts? You'll get the closing word here. You got about 45 seconds.
Well, I tend to agree that President Trump did Barack Obama a huge favor by getting that ruling on presidential immunity. And I think if they can show that these were official acts, and they probably were because he was in office when he did these things, and he was acting as the president of the United States, directing, national intelligence and national security. So I think he can claim for sure that this was an official act as president. So I think he has immunity. But all the people around him don't have immunity. So there are a ton of people, Brennan, Comey, all those, they could all be in jeopardy, and they're not covered by the presidential immunity.
Yeah, President Trump said it the other day. He said President Obama owes him big time for that immunity. But Chris Murray, Dwane Coates, thank you so much. Cherie Murray, and also Flip Bedeau. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Wake Up America Weekend. And coming up next, there's a lot more that we're going to cover.